everyone, and welcome to the 2K Sports Preview Show. I'm Greg Gumbel, along with my partner Clark Kellogg, and we're ready to give you your first taste of all the names and top teams that'll define this season. We're looking ahead to what should be an amazing year in college basketball, so let's take a look at the preseason top 25 poll and see who starts the season at the top of the heap. Here are the big five, the top teams in the country as we begin the season. The Kansas Jayhawks come in as the number one ranked team, followed by Duke, Memphis, North Carolina, and Louisville. You think the top five teams?
Sometimes the top players in the nation and the best teams in the nation aren't necessarily together at the top of the poll. Going into this season, we have some of the absolute best players playing on the marquee team. That's really exciting to me, Greg.
The Jayhawks are projected as the favorites here in the early going. They are a strong team. They have plenty of competition from the overall league.
It will work to their advantage, Greg, because they'll have been through so many battles by the time March rolls around. Tournament pressure won't bother them at all.
Duke is in the number 2 spot. Certainly, they'll get a big return of their leading scorer from a year ago.
That's a big advantage for them. They don't have to spend the first few weeks of the season searching for that go-to guy. They know who he is, and they'll use it.
Memphis comes in as number 3, and that's a huge difference for them this year.
I can't tell you what an advantage that is. So much turnover in college games these days, and having 4 starters coming back is almost unfair, Greg.
North Carolina, the year as the 4th-ranked team. They'll be looking to make another run like the one they made last spring, took them all the way to the Final Four.
Players that are coming back are used to playing in that big game this year, and that gives them a huge edge down the road in March.
Louisville, the number 5 team. They were unstoppable last season, finishing with 26 wins.
Matching that record is going to be a challenge, but they simply got to forget about the past and get to the winning games right here, right now.
Here's the next group of teams in our preseason top 25. What's your opinion on that set of teams?
The upside of these far outweighs the downside. Expect at least half of these to finish the season in the top 10, and 1 or 2 of them will be right at the top.
Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, the number 10 team, has been talked about quite a bit as we head into the season. The number 6 team have also. How about this one?
This is here, Greg, where I think a few of the teams on this end of the poll really stand out above the others. There are a handful of these teams that are potential sleeping giants.
The Xavier Musketeers, the Aggies of Texas A&M, the number 20. There are a few coaches that relocated over the summer, as we've come to expect. Here are all the new coaches in college basketball this season. There are quite a few interesting names. Coach Fox is one of the hires that drew a lot of media attention. Coach Sutton also made a move. We've come to the part of the show when we look at the top players in the nation and unveil the list of our Kansas Jayhawks. As for next up is a player let's move on to a player. And finally, now let's move on to the second team All-American. Not such a bad list, huh? The next player on the weekend, all look forward to seeing our next All-American. Here we have, all right, Clark, thanks very much. Glad you could join us for the 2K Sports season. Welcome to the 2K Sports Studios. I'm Greg Gumbel, along with my partner Clark Kellogg. Coming up on College Hoops Tonight, brought to you by State Farm, the #1 auto insurer. We'll unveil the newest NCAA Top 25 poll, as well as show you the best action from around the nation. But we begin with a special player who was an easy choice, a player of the week in college basketball.
See, for this week, Greg, this week, there's anyone who doesn't consider him one of the best players in the country. Just take a look at his last performance.
No argument here. He was hot with a total of 60 points. What a magnificent week he had on the offensive end. There are a lot of scorers in college hoops today. Showed us this week he belongs with all of them. His ability to find the holes in the defense is unparalleled. Now, as promised, here's a first look at the new top 25 poll. The dubious distinction being the headliners of the poll news this week because of their slide from the number 11 spot to number 21.
I'm not sure how a team can change so much in such a short period of time. They certainly have. Nothing seems to be coming naturally to this team anymore. Offensively, they're struggling to create decent opportunities for themselves, and on defense, they're playing as individuals and not as units.
There was no shortage of excitement on the court the past few days, so let's take a look at our teams of the week. We had a pair of top 25 teams in an old-fashioned Welcome to the 2K Sports Studios. I'm Greg Gumbel, along with my partner, Clark Kellogg. Coming up on College Hoops Tonight, brought to you by State Farm, the #1 auto insurer. We'll unveil our choices for the top 10 mid-major teams in the NCAA, as well as tell you who was the best player in the nation over the past 7 days. But first, let's take a look at the best games of the past week in college basketball. Let's get started with what turned into an absolutely terrific matchup. Oklahoma State beat Florida.
Oklahoma State Cowboys weren't phased at all by the hostile crowd. In fact, they seemed to fit in the enemy's building and used it to their advantage. I love to see that in a team. That's a sign of a tough-minded squad. Oklahoma State from long range, their three-point shooting made a huge difference. I don't know if they came into the game with a plan to attack from long range. Definitely the way it turned out. And when you keep knocking down threes again and again like they were, it just deflates the opponent.
Next up, back on another great contest next week. Miami did away with Wake Forest.
Well, Greg, this game wasn't decided until that final buzzer sounded. A couple of different bounces one way or the other, and this could have been a totally different outcome. Griffin had the hot hand on the winning side. His double-double really gave his team the lift they needed. His total was probably helped by the fact that he had a few extra minutes because of the overtime, but it was still an impressive performance nonetheless.
Now it's time to reveal our list of the top 10 mid-major teams in college basketball. You're looking at the future Cinderellas of the NCAA tournament.
Top to bottom, they're certainly not as strong as a list of the top 10 major conference teams, but one or two of them have just as much talent as any of those teams, especially at the top spot.
New Mexico State is setting themselves apart from the other mid-majors in more ways than one. Impressed me is their imposing strength of schedule. Adopted the anyone, anywhere scheduling philosophy, and it's transformed them into a very dangerous opponent. Now, let's get right to our player of the week. Would you do the honors?
Agunu is a favorite to win this award every week, Greg, and he gets it this week. If there's anyone who doesn't consider him one of the best players in the country, just take a look at his last few performances.
It was a magical week for him, Clark, no doubt about it. Fans really got behind him as the points kept piling up, and you could see him feed off their energy. He's a cult hero to those people now. If he has a few more weeks like this one, he'll be one of the all-time legends at that university. That'll do it for us here in the studio. For my partner, Clark Kellogg, I'm Greg Gumbel. Thanks for watching. Welcome to the 2K Sports Studios. I'm Greg Gumbel, along with my partner Clark Kellogg. Coming up on College Hoops Tonight, brought to you by State Farm, the #1 auto insurer. We'll preview some of the biggest games coming up this week in the NCAA, as well as show you the best action from around the nation. But we begin with a special player who was an easy choice as our player of the week in college basketball.
Trammell had a fantastic week. He dominated the action from his power forward spot, and that's no easy task in college basketball these days.
It was a magical week for him, Clark, no doubt about it. The fans really got behind him as the points kept piling up, and you could see him feed off their energy. He's a cult hero to those people now, and if he has a few more weeks like this one, he'll be one of the all-time legends at that university. Now let's take a look ahead to the games that get top billing on the schedule in the days to come. This should be a terrific matchup. Both teams are fighting to improve their position among the nation's elite teams, and they're going to have to go through each other to do it.
UCLA plays a brand of defense that should make the difference in this game. They are a tough team to score against. If you don't squeeze the orange, they'll take it. I think they'll be in top form for this contest.
And there's another game on the agenda that's too juicy to ignore. I'm looking forward to this game just like everybody else. This matchup has the possibility of becoming quite a little rivalry because these teams play so well against each other, and it's always a heated atmosphere when they're on the court together.
Should come out on top. I had to make a prediction. Their backcourt is so solid this year, and their guards love to get out and run. It gives them a huge advantage in a game that should be as fast-paced as this one will be.
There was no shortage of excitement on the court in the past few days, so let's take a look at our game of the week. We have a real surprise to show you. Not too many folks expected the result that came from this. North Dakota State got by Connecticut.
No one could have predicted this outcome, Greg. Connecticut is sitting pretty as a top-5 team, but you've got to have some doubts about a loss like this. North Dakota State deserves all the credit in the world, though. No breakdown whatsoever. They came in acting like they were the favorite. That confidence grew and grew as the game went on. Tremendous win for them.
Next up, let's look back on another great contest from the past week. Fresno State got the better of Kentucky.
Well, Greg, this game wasn't decided until that final buzzer sounded. A couple of different bounces one way or the other, and this could have been a totally different outcome. Booker was the hero of this one with a terrific performance. His 18 points led all scorers. And in addition to his scoring, he is a tenacious defender. He makes everyone around him a better defender. It's easy to see why they won this.
That's our show, everyone. For all of us here at 2K Sports Studios, thank you for watching. We'll see you next week on College Hoops Tonight, brought to you by State Farm, the #1 auto insurer. Hi, everyone. I'm Greg Gumbel, joined at the anchor desk by my partner, Clark Kellogg. Next up on College Hoops Tonight, brought to you by State Farm, the #1 auto insurer. We'll recap the biggest games of the week, as well as give you a preview of some of the huge matchups coming up around the nation in the next few days. But we begin with a special player who was an easy choice as our player of the week in college basketball.
Arunas is a favorite to win this award every week, Greg, and he gets it this week. If there is anyone who doesn't consider him one of the best players in the country, just take a look at his last few performances.
He was playing like a house on fire this week, Clark. The performance he gave leads me to believe there might be a few more Player of the Week awards for him in the very near future. He looked like he was enjoying the pressure of carrying his team, so the increased expectations should be no problem for him to handle. Now, let's turn our attention to some of the action of the past week in the NCAA with our games of the week. We had a pair of top 25 teams in an old-fashioned grudge match. New Mexico State knocked off Florida.
The score might not have been close, but I don't think that's an indicator of how similar these teams are talent-wise. It was just a matter of one side having an off night at the worst possible time. New Mexico State played some absolutely stifling defense. They made the guys on the other side work for every basket, and you can see that reflected in the shooting percentage. They never let up on the defensive end. That really took the pressure off the offense and allowed them to dictate the tempo of the game. To me, that was the biggest factor.
Although this next contest seemed predictable enough, one of the best teams in the country suffered a severe shock to the system. Virginia toppled Texas A&M.
No one could have predicted this outcome, Greg. Texas A&M, sitting pretty as a top 5 team, but you've got to have some doubts about them after a loss like this. Roger took care of business this one. His 16 points led the team. Watching him basically put his teammates on his back and single-handedly carry them to the victory in a big game situation like this was stupendous.
Now let's take a look ahead to the games that get top billing on the schedule in the days to come. The game matches a pair of top 10 teams and is sure to bring both teams' fans out of the woodwork, not to mention a fair share of the national media.
DePaul would be my pick here. They're so strong on the inside that I believe they'll be just too tough to match up with. It would really surprise me if that talent discrepancy on the inside doesn't tell the tale.
We have another upcoming contest that promises to be a classic. I'm looking forward to this game just like everybody else. This matchup has the possibility of becoming quite a little rivalry because these teams match up so well against each other, and it's always a heated atmosphere when they're on the court together.
Maryland plays a brand of defense that should make the difference in this game. They are a
Welcome, everyone. I'm Greg Gumbel here with my partner, Clark Kellogg. Just ahead on College Hoops Tonight, brought to you by State Farm, the #1 auto insurer. We'll preview some of the biggest games coming up this week in the NCAA, as well as show you the best action from around the nation. But we begin with a special player who was an easy choice as our player of the week in college basketball.
Nelson is a favorite to win this award every week, Greg, and he gets it this week. If there's anyone who doesn't consider his last few.
No doubt about that. He was absolutely on fire with a total of 69 points. Whenever he got it, he was going to get a bucket. Chances are he got it. You can see in these highlights what determination he had at the offensive end. His opponents were physically and mentally tapped out. They're having to defend against him. Now let's take a look ahead to the games that get top billing on the schedule in the that's a terrific matchup. Both these teams are fighting to improve their position among the nation's elite teams. They're going to have to go through each other to do it.
Will be my pick here. They're so strong on the inside that I believe they'll be too tough to match up with. It will really surprise me if the talent discrepancy on the inside doesn't tell the tale of it.
But that's not the only item on the schedule for NCAA fans. I'm looking forward to this game just like everybody else. This matchup has the possibility of becoming quite a little rivalry because these teams match up so well against each other, and it's always a heated atmosphere when they're on the court together.
Connecticut should come out on top if I had to make a prediction. Their backcourt is so solid this year, and their guards love to get out and run. That gives them a huge advantage in a game that should be as fast-paced as this one will be.
There was no shortage of excitement on the court in the past few days, so let's take a look at our games of the week. We had a pair of top 25 teams in an old-fashioned grudge match. Villanova knocked off Connecticut.
The Posters love games like this. It makes their job easy. When you've got two ranked teams like this going up against each other, you can just sit back and see who should go up and who should move down. Villanova really muscled up down low and was able to take a lot of easy chances close to the basket. Whether it was the big men or the guards, they made the most of their opportunity. They established their inside from the start and were able to rely on getting their points down low throughout the game.
Also on our list of games of the week is a conference face-off in the Big 12. Texas A&M dismantled Baylor.
Both of these teams are jostling for position at this point in the season. We're in that critical part of the year when everybody's trying to get hot before the postseason. Momentum is everything right now. Harden took care of business in this one. 20 points led all scorers. Watching him basically put his teammates on his back and single-handedly carry them to the victory in a big game situation like this.
Do it for us here in the studio. For my partner, Clark Kellogg, I'm Greg Gumbel. Thanks for watching College Hoops Tonight, brought to you by State Farm.